coming off a weekend split, 3-1 against Ferris, and a 5-set victory against Lake State on Saturday. All the sets against Ferris this time were extremely competitive, except for that decisive fourth one. What changed for your squad in between that third set and the fourth?
We often talk, I try to do comparisons to things, and I would consider what those first three sets were Ferris giving a lot of body blows like in a boxing match, right? They're not going to have an immediate impact, but you do it enough over time, it becomes an issue. And that's how it was, and it's been our Achilles heel all year, is not starting the match well. Right, so you start the first set, it was like 7-2. You start the second set, it's like 5-0. You start the third set, it was like 8-2 or something. And then by the time, and we battled back in all three of them, right? Including winning the third. We had a lead late in the first. But it just gets exhausting playing from behind that much. And you get to the point in the fourth set where they come out again with a lead, and we just didn't have enough in the tank mentally to persevere. I don't think it was a physical thing. I think the exhaustion mentally of constantly having to fight, I think got to them in that fourth set. So was I upset with how we played in the fourth set? Of course, we played very poorly, but I understood why. We were able to identify right away after the match and talk about how important starting matches on time is, because it gives you an opportunity to pull away from opponent and do the exact opposite of what happened to us to other teams.
Right. So then with that in mind, you identified the problems, and then you bounced right back the very next night against Lake State. Can you talk about what did the squad, your team, show you in the way that they rebounded from taking the loss on Friday to coming right back and grinding out a tough one on Saturday?
Well, I don't think we fixed the starting on time thing. With the exception of the fourth and fifth set, we had pretty significant deficits early in the match. The difference is Lake State isn't a winning program yet, right? They're making some good strides, and they proved that against us with what they did in the first and third set against us. But they just don't have it yet, and so we're again able to kind of mask this glaring issue we have in our gym right now. Very proud of what they did in the fourth set, and I think that was a back against the wall. We blew the lead in the third set, and then we were like, if we don't win the fourth, we're out. And they said, oh, now we have to play with some urgency, and they did in the fourth set, right? You could felt it halfway through the fourth set. You're like, oh, Lake State's just waiting for the fifth set. And then we get to the fifth set, we had built so much momentum that there was nothing they could do, because we are a better team than Lake State right now. And I'm very grateful. We've played 10 sets against Lake State this year, both thankfully wins, but for whatever reason, Lake State plays us well. We don't show up quite as well against them, and so it's a tough matchup. So I'm grateful to be done with them, and I know Coach Rambo is gonna do great things in the future. But right now, we were able to squeak out the 2 wins, and we're just happy with that at this point.
Do you think that might be a case of where it's like, when it comes to records don't matter in a rivalry type thing? I know they're not the biggest rival in the Upper Peninsula, but do you feel like that might play into that a bit?
It totally does. I talked to their coach after the match, and he's a very nice guy, and he was saying that for whatever reason, when they're in the locker room, he can tell the difference between when they're playing Tech and Northern versus other teams. Like, for some reason, they go into those matches just with a little bit more confidence, belief in themselves, more so than they do against other opponents in our conference. So, and I think we walk in, no matter how hard I try to explain to them how good Lake State can be, I don't think we respect them enough. And results like what happened on Saturday happen. We win, but you don't feel good about the win because we don't play the way we're capable of. The nice thing is we finish strong, the fourth and fifth set, so you can look at those and say, hey guys, that's what we're capable of. But it's a matter of figuring out how to start the first set the way we started the fourth set, and not just against Lake State, but against every opponent. You can't be playing from behind like this against quality opponents all the time. It's just really hard, and so we have to get better at that, and they're working on it. We're not, I've said this many times at this seat, is we don't shy away from it. Like, it's the first thing we talked about in the locker room after Ferris. It's one of the things we talked about after the win over Lake State. I actually texted the team Saturday night after we got back about our meeting we're going to have today about how we need to really address this as an issue, and they're receptive to it. They understand it, but it's one of those things where how do you drill that in practice, right? You can create drills that are short bursts, right, and there's a consequence for not winning or whatever, but ultimately, when you're in that moment, you just got to rise above and get it done. So we'll keep doing things that test our mental fortitude in the gym when we're practicing, but ultimately, those 6 girls on the floor and the 8 or 10 sitting off need to find ways to be ready to go from the start. And maybe it's tweaking our warm-up maybe it's doing different things in the locker room ahead of time to maybe do some visualization to prepare them. But we got to make some sort of change, especially going into this weekend against, two really good opponents in Wayne State and Saginaw.
So, like you mentioned, Coach, going into this weekend, Wayne State and Saginaw Valley both coming to town. Your thoughts on those matchups?
Yeah, both offer some real tough challenges for us. Wayne State, particularly, is really good at blocking, and they have a pretty good offense. But I think their strength is blocking, and so we have to find ways offensively to exploit their block in any way we can, and that's going to be a combination of the system we run, maybe the tempo we're running, just to give more seams in the block, and then Saginaw Valley is really good defensively, so they get the ball up a lot on defense, and so they force you to play. You have to take 4 or 5 swings in a rally in order to win the point. And that's going to test us mentally, right? And so that's going to be one of those opponents that's really going to challenge, have we grown between Saturday and next Saturday? That'll show against Saginaw Valley. But both teams are playing well. They're in the hunt in the NCAA. I think they're 4th or 5th in the conference right now. So they're going to be great tests for us, and we're lucky to be at home against them the first time around. But I expect nothing but great matches this weekend for us.
Right. So with that said, Coach, like you said, you're going up against some teams really in the mix in the conference here, and you're halfway through the conference schedule at this point in the season. Kind of feels surreal to be saying that out loud now, but now that you've got the chance to see at least most of the teams in the conference at least once, and you're halfway through your schedule, what are your thoughts kind of on just where the team is at as a whole? And are you at, or have you exceeded where you think you'd be at this point in the season?
This is going to sound cocky, but I don't think we're where we should be. I think we should have taken that win on Friday at Ferris. I think we were a better team. We just made some stupid mistakes. So I'm okay with where we're at. I'm really proud of what they've done in the first half, and not just with the results, but the way they're carrying themselves. They're not afraid to get after each other. They're not afraid to push themselves to be better, and that's a change from the past, right? The other teams, they weren't bad in the past, but this team is really motivated. And when you have a player like Jackie Smith, who can kind of get it done all the time, and veteran leadership in Lizzie Stark and Ali Yako and Lauren Vandermortel, that has really helped go a long way. And it doesn't mean we don't challenge them to be better people, but they're able to help players like Rain Thompson and Mackenzie Gruner, who have been playing significant time as freshmen. They're able to, in those huddles, kind of calm them down when they make a mistake, or talk through things when they need to talk through things. And so this weekend everyone will have played everyone at least once after this coming weekend. And there are a lot of things to shake out from the results this weekend, right? If we go 2-0, which you hope we do, it really puts us in a really good place going into the second half of the season. But you have to play the matches, and like I said, Saginaw and Wayne are good. But where our team is at right now, the team that's going to be in the gym practicing today, I feel really good about it. And I think moving into the second half of the season, we should hopefully continue going in the direction we're going.